You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marchegiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. And we are live. It's Dr. J here in the house. Evan, how are we doing today, my friend?
Hey man, happy Monday. I'm glad to be back. I took a week off. It felt like a month off and I was like, God, I can't wait to get back to work. So I'm glad I'm here.
Totally, man. I 100% agree. So that's good. We got the holiday season. We are here in the thick of it. So I know you were off in Florida this last week trying to get some sun and some good rays. Let's kind of chat a little bit today about, functional medicine tips and tricks that we can do to keep our health and our sanity and our stress down in the holiday season.
Yeah, so why don't we start talking about just the travel component, and then we could go wherever you want in terms of like herbs to help the immune system and nervous system. I think there's a lot of cool directions we could take this, but I'll just start out with the air travel because I just got off a plane yesterday.
Great.
And it wasn't terrible, but I'm not a huge fan of air travel for many reasons. And one is just the air pollution, the fact that there's no fresh air on airplanes. They're pumping the cabin full of the recirculated or recycled air from the exhaust of the engines. And so it's just really not a good place for fresh air. So what I did, and some may say, oh, this is extreme or whatever, but that's why you're listening to us, because you want to be the best and you want to be the healthiest you can be. So what I have is the portable IQ Air. It's pronounced Autumn, but it's spelled Atom, A-T-E-M. It's like a disc. It looks like a little UFO, and it's a portable air purifier. We have one in our car that hooks up to the 12-volt outlet, but then we also have another one that we can take for travel, and they have a portable battery pack that they sell with it, and it fit inside of my backpack, no problem, on my carry-on bag, and I put this little portable HEPA air purifier on my tray table on the plane ride with the battery pack and cranked it up on high, and you couldn't even hear it because of the engine noise of the plane. And my two daughters and my wife and I all got fresh HEPA pure air right in our face. We just angled the vent of it so it pumped our direction, and the air was noticeably cleaner and more pure. And we're not talking just filtering jet fuel. You're filtering potential mold on the plane. You're filtering out the neighboring people's perfumes and colognes and all that. So it's just one simple way to try to reduce your exposure to toxins. And if you're weak from an immune perspective, hopefully that's filtering out some bacteria and viruses and other things like that. I mean, I remember, I don't know if it was this year, last year, whenever it was. I think it was when you went to Mexico and you came back and it was like you picked up a cold from the plane because the plane was germy or something. So it's like, I'm not going to say this is a cure-all, but I think it's a good preventative medicine.
I like it. So the IQ Air, the Autumn, A-T-E-M. Okay, cool. We'll put some links below. And that's a good portable one, huh?
It's gorgeous, too. It's very pretty. You can control it from your phone if you want to. You can, turn up the speed, turn down the speed. There's a blue light on it that you can turn off. So overall, it's a very, very good portable setup. And when we were in hotel rooms as well, we would just unplug the battery pack and plug up the wall outlet, and then we would just crank it on high in the hotel room, and then boom, by the time you step back in your hotel room, you've got real fresh air in there as well.
Oh, that's just absolutely great. And then did you use the Autumn desk or the Autumn car or both?
Yeah, good question. So the car is better. because there is an extra layer of carbon or something involved in the car versus the desk. So I only recommend buying the car version, and then you can just use it inside your home as well.
That is great. That's awesome. And then you can bring that with you on trips, and then you have that extra bit of air filtration. That is awesome. And could you use it in like a kid's bedroom or a bedroom?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect white noise, too, for the kids to take a nap. We just cranked it on high, and it's just a nice white noise, but then you know the kids are breathing in pure air, too.
And can you keep all the lights turned off, too?
Yep, on the app, you can just go boom, and then the blue light turns off. So it's just a completely dark air filter.
That is great. Awesome. I like the ones that are small and portable. Some of the ones that I have by the Austin area are great, but they're not quite as portable,
Yeah, you can't put it in a suitcase, and other people, Dr. Mercola, he had promoted these like neck things where it's like a portable ionizer that you wear on your neck. I bought one. Those things are garbage. This thing is way better. I mean, it's a HEPA filtration versus, people try to say, oh, here's a negative ion generator that you wear on your neck. It's like, no, those are so stupid. This is way, way better and more functional.
And what does it cost to change out those filters?
I got an extra filter when I bought it. I think the extra filter was maybe $100. Don't quote me on that.
Okay, good.
And you can monitor the filter life from your app. So it'll say, hey, you've got 89% left of your filter. And then it'll give you a notification when the filter needs to be changed.
Okay, got it. That's cool. So I like the air filtration aspect of it. I think it's powerful because air quality is important, especially on the airplane. I mean, I think you may only be able to do so much because you have so much recycled air coming through. So in general, it may not move the needle too much, but I think it's really cool to have it in your hotel room, especially people using a whole bunch of cleaning products that, aren't as nice. It's nice to have that good quality air filtration, at least in the room. That's great.
Yeah, it filters out the VOCs, right? So yeah, if you had, we did request fragrance-free hotel rooms and made sure they only cleaned with vinegar and all that. So it helped a little bit, but a filter would help reduce or remove any other VOCs if you're sensitive like I am.
Absolutely. And we're really diving in today functional medicine and natural health kind of principles to stave off stress during the holiday season and when traveling and such. That's really the title and the topic of today's chat. So off the bat, we also can be utilizing natural antioxidants to help deal with stress when we're flying too. I'm always a big fan of when flying or travel or vacation starts, I'm going to be adding in glutathione and or glutathione precursors. This is kind of our body's natural, very most powerful antioxidant. It's a tripeptide antioxidant, and we're going to use this at higher levels to deal with stress from travel, just the radiation you're exposed to when traveling. We're also going to do maybe natural medicinal mushrooms or herbs like astragalus, andrographis, echinacea. We're going to be doing things like this to help bump up our immune system. In my supplement line, I have a product called Immuno Supreme, and that's powerful. That has a couple of different herbs in there, some medicinal mushrooms, and it has some of the astragalus and echinacea that kind of gets your immune system ready. So it's just kind of getting those natural killer cells up and ready on attention. So if we get exposed to any viruses or bugs, we're more likely to stave off an attack. So herbal support, medicinal mushrooms, reishi, astragalus, echinacea. These are going to be very powerful. And then, of course, things to naturally deal with oxidative stress, which could be glutathione, high-dose vitamin C, which is going to help with glutathione as well. I'd also say you could even add in some natural anti-inflammatory support like curcumin. But I'd say if you're going to keep it simple, high-dose glutathione and vitamin C is going to be very, very powerful.
Good advice. A lot of people post articles and snippets and all that about top 10 ways to naturally fight the flu or top 10 ways to naturally fight a cold. It's like, well, wouldn't it be better if you could just keep your immune system on alert, like you mentioned, and upregulate these immune system pathways as opposed to getting sick and then now you're trying to read an article on how to get yourself unsick? Like, just if you are on these herbs and your immune system's upregulated, you may not even have to go to the top 10 natural ways to fight the flu because you never got the flu because your immune system was so strong.
100%. So on the vitamin C, we're going to do a couple of grams, so anywhere between 2 to 5 or 6 grams on the vitamin C. Again, typically just below bowel tolerance is ideal. So a lot of people will start getting loose stools around 6 to 10 grams or 6 to 10,000 milligrams. So somewhere in that 2 to 5, 2 to 6 gram dosage range is probably good. You may have to feel it out to see where you sit. And then in regards to reishi, I'll go anywhere between 2 to 5 grams a day, probably closer to 2 to 3 if I'm just trying to get my immune system upregulated and I'm not fighting something, probably like 2 to 3 grams just to be like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then acutely, I'll go up to 3 to 5 if it's really acute. And then I would say with the glutathione, probably, up to a gram or so a day on the glutathione to get my immune system kind of hyper-regulated and ready to go.
Yep. And talk about the nebulizer. We had spoke about this a few episodes ago. I said, hey, you've got to try it, and you've tried it. So what's your feedback?
Yeah, so this is a very powerful tool, and it means to get certain compounds into your lungs and into your bloodstream fast. Because we know when we get sick a lot of times, we have the ability to control essentially our hands by washing our hands. And we have the ability to control not quite as much what we breathe. Maybe if we have a mask, that's probably the best that we can do. But in general, a nebulizer allows us to take compounds. And my favorite 2 things to use are going to be silver. And we'll choose a 15 ppm to a 10 ppm or less of silver. And we'll nebulize that. And we can breathe it into our lungs. So we have all of this silver in our lungs, in our sinuses. And that's going to help kill any bugs or biofilms that we may be getting exposed to. So I like nebulizing silver acutely, especially after a flight or after any exposure to someone, because you get the silver in your lungs, and it's antiviral as well. So the problem is, number 1, you don't want to be using antibiotics prophylactically, but number 2, it will not touch viral issues. So the best thing with the silver is you can knock down some of the virus stuff. And the second thing is glutathione, because glutathione really helps with inflammation, and it really is increased so much more, especially in your lungs when you do it, when you nebulize it and you break it down to really tiny particles. So with nebulized glutathione, you can do that as well. 1, you're getting the glutathione to help with the oxidative stress, but number 2, it's also going to help with inflammation, and it's going to help modulate your immune response. So I'm a big fan of nebulizing the silver and nebulizing the glutathione. There's a couple of good nebulizers that are out there. I have one that's really small. Evan recommended it to me. There are 2 or 3 really good small ones. I'll do a separate video on this. And you take the nebulizer and essentially you use some sodium chloride, kind of a nice saline solution that's sterile. And then you're going to add anywhere between a teaspoon to silver of there, or you're going to do about 200 milligrams of glutathione in a sodium bicarb form, so it's in a breakdown. And then you can nebulize that 200 milligrams of glutathione or that 1 teaspoon of silver, and you get it directly into your bloodstream. And the nebulized glutathione significantly increases in your bloodstream and in the lungs, even more than oral. Because when it goes orally, it has to kind of go throughout your body. But when you do it in your nebulize it goes right into your lungs. It's going to help with things in your sinuses. It's going to help with all the inflammation in your lungs. So you get it right there. It's fast, and it increases your bloodstream levels so much faster.
Yeah, not to mention you can cross the blood-brain barrier when you're breathing something in like that too. So I got to give credit where credit's due. This whole idea of me getting interested in nebulizers and glutathione and then trying it, and then you and I talking about it. Stephen Buhner, he's like one of my favorite herbalists. He's written a lot of really great books on Lyme disease and co-infections. I believe he's personally suffering from COPD. And, of course, many people out there are suffering with COPD. So he actually came up with this COPD protocol. And I just took a couple pieces from his protocol, which was the nebulizer with the saline and the glutathione. Now, he's talking about, I think it's frankincense and some other essential oils. And he's doing a lot of these other, like Japanese herbs and Chinese herbs, and mixing all these in a combination as this big old 20 to 30 piece COPD protocol. I don't have COPD, so I just took the pieces that I thought would help me the most from that protocol and then implemented it. And then I'd watched I don't know if it was a webinar or what it was about. It was a guy speaking about using silver hydrosol, which same thing, colloidal silver hydrosol is the right name. And he was using this for lung cancer. And he was putting the silver into a nebulizer for lung cancer. And I thought, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then I just mixed them. I just thought, why don't we mix silver, mix glutathione, and as you mentioned, it's the one with the bicarbonate added so it doesn't burn your lungs or anything. And it's a very smooth process. And I don't know if it's placebo or what, but I feel like I get a little bit of a head rush after I do it. Like I feel a little bit more mentally clear. You know, glutathione is said to increase energy levels too, right? Because you're increasing your detox ability, and a lot of times that helps increase energy. So after I do it, it kind of hits me like a wave. It's like whoosh, and then I feel good for a couple hours after. I haven't had any bad side effects. I don't know if you have. I haven't had any headaches. I haven't had any like detox reactions from it. Overall, it's been very, very good.
Yeah. Also, I find it very helpful with kids that don't want to swallow supplements or take supplements. The nice thing about it is don't even have to put it over their face. You can kind of keep it a couple inches away and just let them breathe it for a few seconds, and they'll get it into their system. So I like it because if my son may have gotten exposed to something, I can just give him maybe a minute with the silver, just kind of breathing it in, or I can give him a minute of the glutathione. I can at least get some good antioxidant support, which does help with the immune system. Glutathione is a really important immune system modulator. And I can also get the silver up there, which will help with viruses and biofilms as well. So it's pretty powerful to have that, especially with kids, and especially with just being around people that are sick. I can get stuff into my respiratory tract fast. And I'm not sure if there's any studies on this, but there's a lot of times there's like a week or so latency period on getting an infection and it manifesting. So I'm curious to know, you may have an infection and it may be in latency period, and I wonder if just doing that preventatively would prevent that infection from manifesting.
I think it would, right? I mean, think about if it's sitting in the nasal cavity, maybe it's found a way to hide in some biofilm in the nasal cavity or the sinuses, and then the silver comes in and kills it. I think you're right. I think it could kill it. While we're on the topic of the nasal cavity area for the holidays, this would apply for people going to a family member's house where they've got air fresheners or plug-ins, or, if you're a smell sensitive person like I am, or even if you're not, and you just don't want that crap in your sinus cavity. You and I really like the Xlear, which is the stevia-based nasal rinse. Or is it erythritol? No, xylitol. I'm sorry. It's xylitol.
Yep.
So if you squirt that up your nose, I wonder if you could just add some of that mixture to the nebulizer. I mean, it's the same thing, right? You're squirting it up your nose versus nebulizing it. I don't know. Maybe overkill, but at least you could use the Xlear nasal spray. Boom, boom, a couple sprays each nostril and spit it out if you end up getting some drainage.
What I think is even better, what I've been doing is I'll do the Neti Xlear packets, so it's actual packets, and I mix it with 4 ounces of water, clean, filtered, reverse osmosis water, and then I squeeze it up one nostril, and it goes all the way up my frontal sinus and then back down, and I do it for about 2 to 3 seconds of flow. Then I blow my nose, clean it out, and then do the other side, 2 to 3 seconds, and then blow. And then what I'll also do is, if there's any kind of infection that I'm thinking about, I'll do the Neti Xlear packets, because you only can spray barely anything with the spray. But if I can do the packets, I get constant flow for 2 to 3 seconds. And then number 2 is I'll add a teaspoon of silver. I'll add a teaspoon of silver as well to it. So then I'll have the Neti Xlear with the xylitol in there, and then also it has the minerals in there to make it more, sensitive against the mucosa. And then I'll add the silver, and then the silver goes up and can really kill any viruses or pathogens or biofilms as well. So that's a double whammy. And then
that's so much better.
Yeah, and then afterwards, then you can do, if you want to nebulize some silver, because that way it goes in your bloodstream. Because it's not going to really go in your bloodstream, right? But when you nebulize the silver, now it's in your bloodstream and in your lungs. So if there's any incubating viruses, that's where it's going to be really, really helpful, because it's going to really work on knocking and killing that down. And then you could also nebulize the glutathione, which I don't think is antiviral, but it will help with inflammation, and it will have an effect on modulating your immune response for the better.
Yeah, I'm using the nebulized glutathione to get mycotoxins out of my brain. If you just go into PubMed and you just search ochratoxin is a really common mold toxin that we see. If you type in ochratoxin cerebellum, you can read that ochratoxin has an affinity, meaning it goes to that part of the brain, the cerebellum. And so you can literally detox the brain. When people say detox the brain, it sounds like it's like trendy or buzzworthy or something, but no, it's real. You literally can detox the brain, because that's where ochratoxin can damage. It can create damage in that part of the brain. So All right, well, let's move on. I think we could talk about sinuses all day, but let's move on. What else?
I'll do a video of myself kind of dealing with the issues. So I'll bring on the nebulizer and kind of the solutions, and we could talk about it and go over what those look like. That's perfect.
Cool.
All right, good. I think those are powerful tips. And then obviously we have low-hanging fruit, which could be getting sick from food. So of course, we're going to use things like activated charcoal, which is going to be a really good binder. We typically say take activated charcoal away from food and supplements. when you're using it for like a detox protocol for mold or for bug killing. But if we're eating questionable food or we're getting exposed to things like alcohol, we may want to actually take it with the alcohol or the questionable food. So you kind of have to just draw a line and say, hey, is this an acute exposure issue or is this more part of a long-term protocol? If it's acute and it's food or alcohol or just, partying, then we're going to take it with that food.
That's a good idea. I mean, think about it. You're going over to Uncle Jerry's house. Everybody's going to be drinking wine and cocktails and whatever. There's going to be bread. There's going to be all kind of food allergens and dairy and who knows what else. Cornbread and pumpkin pie. I don't know what all you're eating that's not good for you. But, our clients report this every year. They say, hey, I got off my diet on the holidays and now here it is January and they feel like crap, So we're trying to help prevent some of those calls.
Exactly. So I like that. Also, bug killers. So in my line, I have a product called GI Clear 4, which I have found to be the best for me and for most patients with food poisoning issues. It just works amazing. And it could be food poisoning from a bacteria like E. coli or Campylobacter or Salmonella. It could be food poisoning from an infection, right? Giardia, Cryptosporidium, H. pylori, maybe a parasite like Blasto. And this works really good at knocking it down. So I like my GI Clear 4, which is very high in golden seal, which is a really good bug killer, very high in berberine, which is great for SIBO. It's also very high in olive leaf, which has antiviral properties, and burdock, which is really good for the lymph and the lymphatic system. So my GI Clear 4 is good. Evan has some ones in his microbiome line that are similar too. So, we love a good bug killer in case we get exposed.
And you can stay on a low dose of those preventatively too. Like I've got one that's got olive leaf in there, which is just a good antifungal. And it's been said to take antifungals while you're detoxing mold. So for me, I've just been doing a little bit of a low dose of some antifungals just preventively. And the good thing is with something like olive leaf, that's an antiviral as well. So you can that's the cool thing why we love herbs so much is because you can have, as you mentioned, bugs as kind of a generality. Bugs could mean viruses, bacteria, parasites. You could have an herb that can be antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal all in one. So we love these any time of the year, but especially if you're around, like you said, potential bad food that, who knows, what if they didn't cook the shrimp cocktail good enough, right? Or it was raw shrimp and you got exposed to something there.
Yeah, so if you're on vacation, like let's say Mexico or somewhere where the food may be a little bit different than what you're normally used to, people that go to Bali or Mexico or sometimes other countries, they're exposed to things they're not used to. So going on like a preventative dose, like 1 capsule with each meal, a lot of times can be super helpful. We may also I always recommend my patients flying with a full bottle of probiotics too, because that can really help with food poisoning as well. So we can do like 1 probiotic capsule every hour or two. And that could acutely address any food poisoning. Works phenomenally. So I like doing that to help with any food poisoning too.
Beautiful. And of course, acid and enzymes deserve a mention too, just because you mentioned the travel. In theory, if your stomach acid levels are good enough and you've got your gallbladder releasing stored bile, you're breaking down your fats good, hopefully everything's okay, but it wouldn't hurt to add in some extra enzymes and acids to hopefully neutralize any pathogens you get exposed to.
100%. I think that's vitally, vitally important. Probiotics, clearing herbs. We talked about glutathione. We talked about silver. These are all really, really important modulating things. HCl, enzymes, digestive support kind of as needed just so we can digest and break down our food. I think those are all very, very, very powerful things. Next, I think, would be sleep support. So you could always do something like a sublingual melatonin and just kind of do that. Once you get your schedule back on track, you can take it maybe at sunrise the next day. So you could do it at nightfall. So as soon as the sun goes down, you could, as it gets dark, you can take it as it gets dark to kind of reset your cycle. And then when the sun comes up, you could do some kind of a caffeine with some light exposure and grounding can be very helpful to get your circadian rhythm back on track. You take a little bit of a caffeine or a mild stimulant as the sun comes back up. You do a little bit of grounding, your feet on grass or some kind of a stone, while getting light exposure to the sunrise. That's a great way to get your circadian rhythm restarted. And then at nighttime when the sun sets, do a little bit of melatonin. You could do anywhere between like 1/3 of a milligram, very small those, couple hundred micrograms. Do it sublingually, and that can kind of get your circadian rhythm kind of back on cycle for your time zone. Again, if you're traveling to Mexico or something, or the DR, and then you're only a time zone or two off, or even the same time zone, not a big deal. You travel to Bali or maybe Hawaii or Europe, then you're going off maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 hours that you may have to do a significant reset there.
Yep, good advice. And of course, light pollution at night, always trying to address that. A lot of hotels, luckily, these days have pretty good blackout curtains and such. But, we had several places where the outside light was still trying to sneak in. So we would take extra blankets or towels or whatever else you got to do, unplug alarm clocks, cover up lights, take out light bulbs, whatever you got to do to cover it up. We had one room we had a smoke detector that had a super bright green light, and green light can suppress melatonin just like blue light can at night. So I just took a pair of swim trunks and threw them over the smoke detector. Boom. We had darkness. So sometimes it's tricky to get a nice dark room.
One thing I will travel with is electrical tape, black electrical tape. And any lights like that, I will literally just take a piece of tape, put it over the light.
That's easy. That's great.
So just a little bit of tape, and then you can just tape up all the lights. And then you want to make it black so it blocks out the lights. A little bit thicker, a little more opaque, blocks the light out better. And I always call ahead. I just say, hey, do you have dark out shades or blackout shades? I think that's really important. I stayed at one place that didn't, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man. Sun comes up at 7 o'clock. You're up at 7. It's like, that's just, forget sleeping in. So I always try to call ahead and make sure I do have blackout shade options. If not, get a blanket, tape it up against the wall. That's your best bet. It kind of stinks.
Yeah.
I always call ahead.
And also on the traveling thing too, we talked about air filtration. I travel with a water filter as well. I mean, you can buy bottled water for drinking. I'm talking about for bathing. So, a lot of places, a lot of cities really heavily chlorinate the water. And so, of course, chlorine is like a natural antibiotic. So first of all, if you're drinking water with chlorine in it, you're killing your good bacteria and your microbiome. But regarding the skin, chlorine, I just doesn't agree with my skin. It makes your hair nasty. It makes your skin nasty. It smells bad. It's toxic. It's a neurotoxin. So I personally use the Berkey. There's other brands out there, but Berkey makes a really good shower filter. And I forgot to travel with my wrench, but luckily the shower head on the hotel was loose enough that I could unloosen it, put on the Berkey shower filter, and boom, you got super pure water. And for the little kids, for my little girls, I don't want them bathing in chlorine, so guess what we do? We just turn on the shower to fill up the bathtub, and now you got a perfect chlorine-free bath.
Exactly. That's definitely a good option. Also, if I'm staying at a hotel in the States, I'll just Instacart or Amazon Prime Now, good filtered water, a couple bottles, maybe a dozen bottles of Pellegrino or Voss or a Fiji water, try to buy it in bulk, or if there's a Whole Foods nearby, just buy a couple of gallons and just leave them in the hotel room. So I have clean, filtered water. You're not paying an arm and a leg for the hotel price, but that way you can get some good, clean water. Ideally, if you can get like a bunch of Pellegrino dropped off in glass, that's awesome. Glass may not work, especially if you're traveling a lot and you have young kids. You may have to do plastic just for the convenience of it not breaking. So those are good options for you in the States. Try to use Instacart or Prime Now where they can drop off within an hour or two. That tends to be super helpful. And then I'll also stay at a lot of places in the States that have like a little kitchenette. So then I'll just have a couple of dozen eggs dropped off, maybe a pound or two of bacon. So then I have breakfast covered every single morning, at least eggs or bacon. And that way you're set. You can at least start the first meal out of the day pretty good, and you can control the quality of it. And I just try to make sure, if I can, there's an Instacart or Prime Now service available where I can have it dropped off.
Yeah, that's what we did. We didn't do the delivery. We just stopped at a Whole Foods, but we did have a kitchenette. So we did bacon, we did eggs. We bought some frozen fish. We had a freezer and we had an oven, so we were able to bake some fish for a couple of nights. That was great. And we did find a couple good restaurants. Luckily, they had some grass-fed steaks and such, but we tried to mix it up 50-50 because you go on vacation, you don't want to be doing dishes 3 times a day either. My wife's like, I'm doing dishes again? What's going on? So like, okay, let's go to a nice place, get you a grass-fed burger. And that was a good break from dishes. So
yeah, I actually was able to find, so when we leave the country, I like going to Mexico for vacation because number one, you get, nice little warm retreat, but it's not far. It's only just a couple hours from Austin. It's easy, nonstop flight, virtually the same time zone. And when you get there, I found a resort. The brand is Charisma. And if you let them know I sent you over, but I found them because they were one of the only gourmet food brands, meaning they grow all their food on site, super high quality, and they cater to food allergens. So really good quality food, lots of good restaurant options, all inclusive so you don't pay anything. extra. What you pay, and then you have unlimited access to the food, and then you can you can get gluten-free options. They really cater to the food allergen, and you get better quality food, and it's even locally raised right there on site.
Yeah, no, you live like a king when you go down there. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice because they have like maybe 16, maybe 20 different hotels in the Karisma brand. I think it's Karisma, Karisma. Just type in Karisma Hotels. But they have a bunch of hotels, a couple dozen that have a gourmet line, and that the gourmet line, the food quality is 5 stars. So you have great quality food, organic, and you have lots of options, and they cater to food allergens. That's one of the best things about it.
That's beautiful. I actually, on my searches for hotels, I came across this website called Pure Rooms, Pure, which was supposed to be this. It's basically a company that works with different hotels, Marriott and whoever else, and they basically put in water filters. They put air filters in the room. They use no fragrance. They take out any feathers for any allergens to like down comforters and such. The problem is every hotel I called, they said, oh no, we don't do that anymore. Probably because nobody was ever booking the rooms and they didn't want those rooms just sitting there wasted. So I called like 3 hotels and they were like, yeah, we had the Pure room, but we don't have it anymore. So I don't know if that's something you had to request in advance, but if somebody's super sensitive, you could look up Pure Room, and there's basically a directory on the planet, on the whole world, where you can look at a hotel that would have a, quote, Pure Room available for you to book.
Yeah, the nice thing is a lot of hotel rooms, they're getting better because people are more hypoallergenic. Smoking is kind of a more taboo, so they have non-smoking rooms. I think just the big thing you can do is just try to request in advance, not all the harsh cleaners or harsh smells, or just get a really good air filter like you have, kind of drop it off, plug it in for a couple of hours, get the room kind of cleaned out, and then you'll probably be good to go.
Yep, that's what we did. We put it on full blast, took a walk to the beach, came back. The room was much better. Still not optimal. I mean, I'd rather be at my house with my big old nice air purifiers, but you got to make the best of it.
Exactly. And when I travel, when I choose vacations, I want to come back on the vacation feeling good. So I don't want to be eating crap the whole time. I want to be eating quality food. So when I come back, I'm not like bloated and inflamed and feeling like crap. So food quality is a big deal for me. Number 2 is I don't want to spend a day on the way there and a day on the way back traveling. So I try to choose places that I can go in a nonstop and ideally be there within 3 to 4 hours on a nonstop. And I don't like to get my sleeping all jacked up. So I don't want to be up at like 3 a.m. leaving. So ideally I try to find flights that I can leave at, get up at 6 or 7, get to the airport, leave at 9 or 10, and get to where I want to be by, 3 or 4 at the latest, just because I don't want to waste a day on each side, and I want to feel relatively rested. So Mexico, DR, Jamaica, if you're like trying to go somewhere more tropical, those are pretty good places because you get the tropical feel. You can get an all-inclusive access, and it's not going to be too far or too expensive to get there.
Yep. Good advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So anything else on the travel side you want to highlight? I mean, the only thing I could say is, if you're going to be eating more crap, we talked about glutathione. We talked about activated charcoal. And you can always, if you're going to be gorging yourself, you can always intermittent fast the next day to compensate. You can always do a little bit more movement before or after, whether it's interval or resistance training, just to deplete glycogen and to get your metabolism up. That way, the extra alcohol or sugar won't hit you as hard. Those are all other good options that you can kind of add in.
Yeah, I would the last thing just in general is some type of good adaptogenic herb just to help cope with the stress. Mm-hmm. So ashwagandha would be great. I know you love ashwagandha. I love it too. But you could use it at night. You could use it during the day for stress. You could use it at night for sleep. You already mentioned the reishi mushroom for immune support, but that's also kind of an adaptogen basically. You've got rhodiola, which can help boost your energy. I took a mitochondrial support that I have. So that's like a B vitamin combo. That can be helpful because the stress of traveling burns up your Bs. B is in Bravo. So mitochondrial support could be helpful. Vitamin D, hopefully you're going somewhere sunny. You don't need vitamin D, but that's also important for immune function. We talked about the enzyme piece. I would say liver support. I did take some liver herbs too, just some milk thistle and some other basic stuff, methionine, taurine. I think that's it. I mean, I'm sure we could riff on more, but that's that. Oh, yes. Oh, this is important. So anybody that has like any travel anxiety, which I don't know if I have travel anxiety. I just get stressed. Travel is just stressful for me, especially with 2 kids. And is the kid hungry and okay in the diaper? And you know what I mean? So what I took is just a blend of some calming herbs. So I took like some motherwort, I took some skullcap, I took some valerian, some theanine, and just had a combo in tincture form. So when we're at the airport, you got 1,000 people in front of you, you're waiting to get past. I just boom, 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 shoot a few squirts of some calming herbs in my system, and I was cool as a cucumber the entire time.
Exactly. Love it, man. Yes, smart, Try to do it the right way. Like you said, that's why I try to do non-stops and short flights. But if you're going to Europe or anywhere else, that becomes a little bit tough. So like you mentioned, the adaptogens are helpful. That's where definitely bringing the melatonin is going to be helpful. Some of the extra Bs, the B vitamins to help with stress, I think are going to be really helpful as well. Anything else you want to highlight or add today, Evan?
I don't think so. I'll just make a comment. It's so interesting. You see all these people that get on the plane. You can tell some people are nervous and they order alcohol from the flight attendant and they're trying to drink alcohol to calm themselves down. That's the worst thing you could do. The elevation of being on the plane causes dehydration. It's like being on top of a mountain. The stress of it is depleting. So, if you need to calm yourself down, a glass of wine on the plane is not what you want. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, wouldn't you rather have something awesome? Like you take a few squirts of some passion flower and ashwagandha, then your nervous system is going to be calm. You're not going to have any crazy blood sugar swings on the plane. You're not going to be dehydrating yourself. So I think in 5 to 10 years, maybe we'll see more people like shooting adaptogens down their throat on the plane versus taking alcohol.
Exactly. I think number one, if you are going to consume alcohol, let's say you got the upgraded seats and they cover a nice drink. Like when I go to Mexico, I think I got the ability to upgrade to first class for like $50. I'm like, heck yeah, an extra foot of leg room. And so when I go to Mexico, I think I'm going to be going in February. I will be doing a glass of champagne on the flight because it's complimentary. But what you do is, number one, when you get to the airport and you have time, get a nice bottle of Pellegrino or something. Hydrate before the flight, where so you have the good minerals in your system. And then if you're going to drink, then just have a nice, bring a couple activated charcoal with you. So then you have that. Just kind of go back and forth. Perfect. And if you are going to drink, just try to space out 1 drink, 1 glass of mineral water. 1 drink, 1 glass of mineral water. That way you don't get too dehydrated and you get the extra minerals in the water so you won't be getting too depleted. But I think that's really good, important points.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap this thing up. If you do want to reach out clinically, we work with these gut issues that we're talking about, detox problems. You know what we do. We love helping people get to the root cause of their problems. We're used to someone being through 5, 10, 15 practitioners before they get to Dr. J or me. And we kind of like being, I'll speak for Justin as well, we kind of like being in that position because it allows us to show them what we do differently. And, here's why you didn't get better. It's because you didn't do this, or you didn't look in that ballpark, or you did it in the wrong order. So we love, and sometimes it comes with the territory of our jobs to be in the cleanup crew category. We're cleaning up somebody else's mess, and that's fun. I love that, and we're both very grateful to be able to serve you all. So if you want to reach out to Justin clinically, please do so. His website is justinhealth.com. My website, evanbrand.com. And thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Excellent. I think next week is what? Is next Monday, New Year's Eve? No, 23rd.
Where is he?
Yep. So I think I'll be here next Monday as well. So I'm excited to chat with you again. How about you, Evan? Would you be here?
I'll be here. I ain't going anywhere.
All right. Excellent. I love you. You're back from your vacation. You're supposed to be refreshed. So excellent.
Yes.
All right, man. Great chatting with you. Thanks for all the information. Any products we talked about or recommended, we'll put them in the references links below. Evan, great chat with you. Have a phenomenal week. You take care.
You too. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com.